So, hello there. Welcome to this podcast, and this is the first podcast for year 2021. And as you can see her LinkedIn profile here, she has done almost 20 plus internship during her academic session of 2016 to 2020. So, Dhare, can you please introduce yourself to our audience and also tell us more about yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Nihal, firstly, for having me. And congratulations for your first episode for the new year. I know you've done some episodes already as well, and you're doing a good job trying to help others and, give them some guidance via other people who have, done something already in the same field. So, like a basic introduction, I completed my electronics and communication engineering in the year 2020. So, I'm a passer of this year, which is about to end. And I wanted to, obviously, what I initially thought was that I would probably do a job in my core field because I took that up. But then, I started having an inclination towards the management side of things. And so I transitioned and completely, transformed the career path which I was going to take from being an EC engineer to now working as a management consulting analyst with KPMG. So that is what I do professionally. Other than that, I am very passionate about public speaking as well as mentoring, people. So that is what I do on and off, and I also love content writing. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
Yeah. As your LinkedIn profile says that you have done 20 plus internships during 4 years, so that's a lot. If we take an average, that's five internship an year, and even more. So how did you manage to grab them, and how did you manage to maintain a balance between all this stuff?
Right. So well, I always, because everyone asks me this question for some reason, it's become like the 20 plus internships has become something everyone asks. But I feel I say this. I mean, I'll just repeat it again. The intention was never ki, I have that mark ki I've done 20 internships. No, the intention was because I was too confused in life. I didn't know what I wanted to do because I didn't want to. I was clear what I didn't want to do, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So to figure that out, I started doing internships because I knew it. I don't want to get into the coding domain or do a software CSE job. I also knew I don't want to do a core electronics job. But then I had to figure out what I wanted to do. So to figure out what I wanted to do, I discovered the domain of management. But management, as you all know, in India or anywhere else, people
Yeah,
generally tell you do an MBA or do a postgraduate degree and you'll understand the management better. Or people will always tell you can get into these consulting firms only after doing an MBA, right? Or it's better when you
yeah,
join it after doing an MBA. But I was in my engineering and I wanted to explore it that time only. That's when I started upskilling myself, learning things about management, and then I realized management is a big domain. There are so many things under it. You can go in HR, you can go in operations, you can go in sales, you can go in marketing, you can go in consulting. I can keep going on. There are many. Then I thought, okay, let's start doing internships. Let's try doing them in as many domains as I can under management. And then I will select, maybe at the end of 3 years, I'll have a clarity that, okay, I can do this. This is what I'm good at. This is what I'm not good at. Because when I'll do an internship,
yeah,
I'll work in a team, right? And they'll give me some tasks. I'll understand that this is what I can do when I'm an employee. So if I perform well and I'm liking it, I'll understand I can do this. That is why I started doing internships. So it was not like I applied for an internship and I got selected. No, in my second year with no experience, nothing to show as a portfolio or on my resume, there have been multiple rejections which I faced. And I've said this at a lot of places.
yeah,
Around 30, 26 companies, 26 to 30 companies rejected me. After that is when I realized that I am a fresher. I have no experience. I've got no experience. I was that time. I think I was only a part of two simple clubs and chapters also, and there also the duties which I was performing, where we lack, students lack, is whatever we are doing, we don't know how to portray it on our profile.
yeah,
Let's say you're a part of a club or a chapter or a society, something you must be a part of. And even if you're not at the head position, but you're a part of the core committee, you're a core committee member, or you're helping in something, you're working in a team, you're learning teamwork, you're managing your time, you learn time management, you're speaking with people on a day-to-day basis for maybe I don't know, maybe doing the PR of your event or whatever you're organizing. So you're involved in public relations. I Here itself I named three skills
yeah,
which you have gained in this experience, but we don't put it in our resume and we don't understand how to. Same was the case with me.
Yeah,
I
for
had two
engineering
positions.
graduates, I think they somehow or the other value the core technical skills more than
Two,
as
the management skills.
management skills.
Yeah.
They learn on the go and they don't even know that they have got those skills.
Exactly, right. And so what it is about is that how do you show it was important? So when I started, I understood that this is how I need to tell them, this is my experience, this is what I've learned, even though I don't have any prior internship experience, but I have experience being a part of the cultural fest, the cultural fest organizing team. I
Yeah,
was also a part of the technical fest organizing team. These are experiences. You work, you learn certain things. Then they start, and I always, one thing that I think worked for me was, if I didn't know things, I let them know that the reason I'm applying for internships is to learn. If you have a
yeah,
learning attitude, they will hire you. Then I started getting selected, and one internship led to another, and I kept doing. I never counted them. It was only when I crossed some, 20s when I realized I've actually done 20 plus internships. And by that time, I was very clear in my head what I want to do. So
yeah.
that is how this happened. Yeah.
And so, how was your 4 years of college managing all these things? Means in 4 years, was it all work and no play, or you enjoyed a lot in the campus?
No, no. I've enjoyed a lot. I've had my fair bit and share of everything, I think. I've enjoyed a lot. I've enjoyed the college life as it's supposed to. I've bunked classes when I had to. I've not attended lectures when I didn't feel like. But I've maintained a balance in everything. So I was a part of a lot of extracurricular activities. So I used to balance out my academics and my extracurriculars, and obviously have a good balance with respect to personal life, going out with your friends, enjoying everything, because it's needed. Only when you do that, you keep going. That motivation or drive, if there's only work and there's no play, it makes Jack a dull boy, right?
Yeah,
That's the thing. So if you don't want to be someone who's very depressed or not happy with your life overall, and what I believe is balance is very important in life, in everything. If you overdo something or even underdo something and don't justify it, then you will see the results or the repercussions. So it's important to maintain a balance, and I have maintained that balance always because it's important.
and in parallel to this, you have built a strong LinkedIn profile as well. And I personally believe that personal branding is a thing that everyone should do, especially in these days. People in pandemic, we have seen that people with 6 to 7 years of experience, even they are not safe. They lose
Right.
their job. So, what will you advise students and even people who are working as professionals to how to build their profile, LinkedIn profile?
Yeah. So, your answer, I mean, when you are talking about, firstly, personal branding was always there as a concept. But when this pandemic hit us, and when we understood that everything is so volatile, and people with 20 years of experience also started getting laid off, is when we understood what is the importance of not just the right technical or the hard skills. Firstly, the importance of life skills, and second, the importance of a personal brand or a digital presence. How important it is. And I believe the best way to building a personal brand is LinkedIn. If you don't want to put in any investment and you want to organically grow as a person and build a community of actually quality people, right? And
Yeah.
people who are like minded, I think LinkedIn is the best platform to do it. And when we talk about how to build your LinkedIn profile, well, see, signing up on the platform just like you do on Instagram or any other platform is pretty simple. Anyone can do it. You fill in your details, you make a basic profile. But that is not what helps you in the long run, right? You have to make your profile optimized. You have to, uh, you know, form it or build it in such a way that you stand out from the crowd. So there are a lot of details and things that go into it. So, like I would say, the first thing would be that when you're building your profile, you need to understand that what is it that you want to portray yourself as, in which domain, which area do you want to be, recognized as. So let's say, as you know, that I am professionally working as a consultant, as an analyst. However, other than that, I am a public speaker.
Yeah.
I also do content writing. I do a lot of other things as well. And when you will, and mentoring is the main thing which I do, right? I take individual mentoring sessions for professionals as well as students, and I do workshops and other things. When you land on my LinkedIn profile, when you have a look at whatever the different sections of it, or just give a glimpse to it, the first impression which you will get is, I'm sure that I'm a mentor or I'm someone who's into
Yeah.
coaching or helping students and professionals. That's the aim. If that is being met, then your profile is optimized. Whatever it is that you want people to know you for should be portrayed and reflected in every part. every section of your profile. An individual with 10 years of experience in the telecom industry should be able to use the right keywords here and there in their profile, should be able to use the right banner, should have the right skills mentioned. I see a lot of people who are actually in the product management domain, and in their skills they have mentioned, they've mentioned things like finance and etc., which is not even relevant. You may have some
Yeah.
knowledge in it, but that cannot be your top skill, right? Which you're adding. So you're confusing your audience itself. You are a product management professional since 12 years and you have finance in your skills. So they don't sync up, they don't match. So there are a lot of small details and other things that you see. But overall, be very sure about which niche or which domain do you want to be known for. And second thing is, um, connect with the right set of people. When you send connection requests and even when you accept connection requests on LinkedIn, you need to be sure that at least 70 to 80% of the people are from your domain or niche, because only they will understand your profile and understand your content. When you start creating content, the most important thing to build a personal brand is start
Mhm.
creating posts and content on LinkedIn. And if you are in the finance domain, let's say you will create posts on finance only because that is what your expertise is
Yeah.
in. And if a lot of marketers are following you, I'm not saying marketers won't understand what you've written, but will
Interaction
they
will
be,
be not there.
the interaction, the
Yeah.
engagement, the understanding won't be of that level as a finance professional will. So if you're in the finance domain, your target audience would be professional students who are doing an MBA in finance and will probably get into the finance field, people who are already working in the finance position and the domain, or CEOs and CXOs of finance based startups and companies.
Okay.
As simple as that. So you will connect with them and you will accept only their request majority of the time. 20 to 30% of the people can be a mix. They can be students, they can be doctors, marketers, that's okay. Because a mix is also needed. So these are the two most important things that you need to keep in mind. Other than that, obviously, there are a lot of details, and I can keep going on. I mean, I take a 4-hour workshop just on LinkedIn. There is a
Okay.
lot that I can talk about. But yeah, these are two important things.
And many times we see students, they are just confused. And I also believe that you should not do something that you don't love. So, for
Hmm.
example, students in engineering are confused about whether they should go for engineering job or they should try for management job. But the problem is for management job, whenever you see the JD, there is that you need 2 year experience or 3 year experience, or you need this
Hmm.
skill that these people lack. So how should they work on it and move forward with it?
See, firstly, Nihal, I'll tell you one thing. I agree that most of the management jobs will ask you to have a experience.
Yeah.
However, it's not a compulsion, right? There are a lot of management companies which also hire freshers, especially in the business development, sales, and marketing roles. And even in consulting now, at business analyst level, there are so many positions. Data analyst, data analytics field is booming. There is
Yeah.
such a high demand for freshers at data analyst level. It's just that I think the students are not able to match up to the skill set, and hence the hiring does not happen. Second thing, which when you talked about this thing, which is very important, when you apply for a job, first read the JD. If the JD itself is saying you need 2 to 3 years of experience, that means you're not the right candidate for it, right? As a fresher, why will I apply to jobs which require 2 to 3 years of experience? I just don't understand that. So many people tell me I'm applying for this job and I read the JD and I tell them, have you even read it? It's asking you for 3 years of experience and you've not even passed out yet, right? So you're not even the right candidate. This is a very basic, simple thing. When you have 5 years of experience and they're asking for 10 years of experience, which just openly means that you're not eligible and you won't apply for it if you have the basic common sense. Now, coming to the thing, you have to find the entry level roles. So you need to look at, as in the management field, as an entry level role, you will be given positions like analyst, operations analyst, finance analyst, business analyst, data analyst, business development executive, sales executive, marketing, analyst. These are the basic positions. Such positions generally will, at the max, tell you we need 6 months of experience. Yeah, or mostly as a fresher today. So
Yeah.
it's not like they don't exist in the market, but you need to keep track with the various startups, with the various company pages on LinkedIn, track their official website from time to time so that you understand and have a good network. That is the most important. If you have a good network from here or there, some senior of yours or some professional in that industry would be working in that company. He can inform you about the openings, you can get referrals. There are a lot of things. Network helps you in many ways at a later stage in life, which you don't understand immediately. You won't get immediate
Yeah.
results, but it helps you a lot. So those are ways that you can, stay informed about these pressure level positions as well.
And for roles like analyst, I have seen many JDs for analyst position that they generally require very less technical skills. Like you need to know Excel, you need to have know knowledge about some visualization tools
Tools for data
and
analyst tools, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and simple SQL data that is taught in our curriculum as well.
Yeah.
So
SQL, or you should know at least one statistical programming language also, either
okay,
Python or R.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and this is skill generally everyone have during their engineering.
Yeah, everyone have. No, no, no.
Yeah. Means
Because I'll tell you one thing. As an electronics engineer, I didn't. No one taught me any data visualization tool,
I'm
nor was I taught
yeah, yeah,
SQL as a part of my curriculum. So it depends on the stream in which you're doing. Also, no,
yeah, yeah,
mechanical engineers are not taught programming. They're not taught, these data visualization tools. Even computer science students are not taught data visualization tools. That's totally out of the curriculum. But
yeah,
yes, basics, if you're talking about Excel, that's fine. SQL, if you're a computer science student, the story is different. You learn the programming languages, and SQL, only addition is you need to learn a tool. Very
yeah.
easy for them. But for other branches, no, I wouldn't agree with that, you learn it in your curriculum. It's not taught.
Yeah, for computer science student, I was saying that the main skills that is taught in
Yeah,
our
technical.
curriculum as well. And for Excel and BI tools, you can just take it one or two courses and
You
it
take
will be good to
courses, you
go.
can watch YouTube tutorials. It
Yeah,
becomes easy. You can install, you can go up to the Tableau official website, take the free 30 days, trial version of Tableau desktop, make your own dashboard, practice it while you're doing a course. Udemy has got a very good course for Tableau. There are a couple of things you can do.
yeah. And as
Yeah.
you are doing a job as well, and also means teaching people online. So how do you manage your time, and also what do you see? Where do you see yourself with this?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer. But see, managing time, I think again, this is it's as generic as it may sound, it's the truth. You'll always, any person does things that in a day that are a priority to him or her. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
And if depending on your willingness to do it, if you are, as you said, if you are happy and you love what you do, you will find time for it, right? I love mentoring and teaching and speaking and interviewing people, so I will find time to do it. Irrespective, I'll cut down on other things. Obviously, I'm cutting down on some things. I haven't watched any series or anything or done anything since the past 6 months, and I know that. And there was a time 6 months back where I was doing that the entire day. That period was also there. So I would say June to July end or August beginning, I was only watching Netflix series the entire day. Entire day. Okay. And now a time has come where since August till now, I haven't even watched 5 minutes of any series. 5 minutes. Right? So it's all about priorities. At that time, that was my priority. I wanted to chill. I wanted to relax. Right now, my priority is focusing on my job, doing well there. At the same time, helping as many students and professionals with their resumes, with their LinkedIn profile, whatever I'm providing my services. Making sure that I can help students via the invites I get for colleges, all of that. So the crux of the matter is, if it's a priority, you will manage your time. And second thing, obviously, I make sure that I used to not do this earlier, but I always maintain a to-do list now. And I do that. I genuinely do that. I have, before going to sleep, the major tasks which I have to complete are always listed down. The small ones here and there, I keep them in my mind. But the major ones which I have to get done will always be listed down on my book, and I tick them off at the end of the day once done. So these two things have really helped me. And yes, it's for anybody who's struggling with time management, it's all from within. You will find time for what you want to do. And that's how you manage time. It's as simple as that.
yeah. And you are someone, as I've seen your profile and have been interacting with you for more than month now. So you are
Yeah,
someone who is actively doing a side hustle and also actively doing a job. And
yeah,
this is means this is what us Generation Z people dreams about. That having a good
yeah,
side hustle, having a good, well-paying job. Uh, so how do you means what would you advise to your juniors about it? Means having a side hustle, how does it affect you personally, and also how it makes you a better person?
right. I think that is a very good question and an important question, because see, the side hustle culture, or whatever term you may put it, why it is important and how it helps you is, when you're working on something of your own, right? Whatever it may be, whether you start freelancing, whether it's your own initiative, your startup, whatever it is that you want to do, you start providing services. That sense of uh, ownership, responsibility as a person comes in. The first thing which comes in, that you know that you are accountable for something now in your life, right? Obviously, as a job, you're working for somebody, for a company, and you do things which are imposed on you, directly or indirectly. When you are working on your side hustle, you're doing things for yourself, for your team, for the betterment of whatever it is that your goal is with. So it makes you more responsible, more accountable. At the same time, it teaches you a lot about time management, as I said, because you are managing two very different things, and it's not easy to juggle between them because you cannot compromise on anyone, right?
Yeah,
And another thing it teaches you is teamwork, because at the end of the day, whenever you start your side hustle, no one can do everything alone. No one. Another thing which I've learned is, there was a time where I was managing everything alone. Now I have a team. There is a time which comes in every person's life where you need support, external support, because there is only so much one person can do, right? So it teaches you a lot about teamwork as well, how to build the right team, right? How do you add like-minded people in your initiative or in your side hustle who have the same goal and vision and will help you accelerate that, right? So these are a couple of things which it helps you with, and in general, it makes you a lot more disciplined, more motivated, and keeps you busy. I believe you don't have space or time for unproductive things. And again, it's okay to be unproductive at times, but at least it keeps you motivated and driven most of the time. Yeah.
yeah. And how is this side hustle helping you directly or indirectly in your job? Because many
Uh,
people, yeah, many people have this confusion that I will miss on many things on my job or on my college if I will have a side hustle. Is that true, or is it the opposite?
no, I don't think it is true. I think that, see, again, it's perceptual. Different people have different opinions, but what I feel is, as long as you're managing both of them well and giving your 100% in both, you won't miss out on anything. This will only add on to your personal growth and professional growth. So it's up to you. Why would you? Don't miss out there also, don't miss out here also. Don't compromise on either of them, and just balance them out well. And you should do this because it teaches you a lot. And the earlier you do it, there are people even 70 years, 17 years of age who have their startups
Yeah,
today. So it's not like people are not doing it, and it's not like they've left their education. They are performing well academically, pursuing their college also, and having a side hustle. So you don't need to leave something necessarily to go with the other. But yes, again, once you know it is at a good level, at a good stature, and you want to give in your full time there, you can obviously switch to that. But till the time you can, it's good to try and balance out both.
yeah. And at last, I would like to ask, what advice would you give to the juniors who are watching this, and also uh, people get very tense about the things like not getting good internships in third year, and also in even during this pandemic, many people are unable to land a job after they have completed their means graduation. So, what advice would
Right.
you give to those people, and how should they fight with it and go about it?
See, one thing that you need to understand is, it's not about the company or the startup with which you do the internship. At the end of the day, it's about the role in which you do the internship, and is it aligning with what you want to do in life. I have not done my internships with big shot companies or anything, okay? All of them were with startups, right? Or small companies. But because I wanted to pursue a career in management domain and I did all of them in management domain, it built my profile. It built credibility, and it was aligning with what I wanted to do. As I said, if you are very clear that you want to go ahead with marketing, then what's the use of doing an internship as a web developer, right? If you want to, yes, at the side, you want to start freelancing work, build website, you're passionate about it, great. But will it add value to your marketing space? No, it won't
No.
in any way. Not really. So you need to understand first, figure out that what is it that you want to do, and accordingly take those internships, and don't pay more attention to the type of company that you're doing it. And even if you don't do it, it's okay. Try and do at least one internship in your 4 years or 3 years of your undergraduation. That is important. I will not say that it's not important. I've always believed it's important, and one internship everyone must do in their 3 or 4 years. It gives you a lot of exposure. Where
Yeah.
you do it does not matter. Your role matters, and how much you learn in the process matters, right? And coming to jobs, etc. Again, see, it's not about the package or the company that you work with. Again, for me, it's just about doing what you love and figuring it out on the way. You've just started your career. It's your first job, not your last job. It's as simple as that. It's your
Yeah.
first job, not your last, and you have your career ahead to make transitions, to switch, to do something that you like. So just go with it and take it as a learning process. I mean, five even people with 5 years of experience are just say they have just started out. So we are just freshers. Like, I mean, 2 years just go in understanding the corporate world and understanding how it works,
Yeah.
right? So you should take it easy and just be okay with what you're working on rather than where you're working and what you are getting paid for it. Yeah.
Uh, so that was it, the questions that I have prepared, and also just it just came to my mind one thing, that
Mhm.
what you will say about work ethics, how they help someone, uh, means work ethics, as you are doing multiple things at a time, ethics play a key role there. So what
Yeah.
you will say
So,
about that?
well, I always make sure that above everything and anything, my commitments and my word given to somebody is very important. That is the basic word, work ethic which I follow. So, based on again the word that I've given and my schedules and priorities, I make sure that everything that I've committed to gets done because that is very important in the given frame of time. So, there are certain tasks which I know I have to delegate, there are some tasks which I know I have to do myself, and I have to again maintain a good balance between them and get them done within the time. Getting them done is a different thing. Getting them done within the time it's needed is
Yeah.
important. I have a task to do. I can do it 1 month later also. Take my own good time. But I was supposed to deliver it within 2 to 3 days, and that is what matters. Am I able to do that? So I try and live up to and everything and the expectations. Sometimes there are times when there's a lot of workload from office, and I'm not able to sometimes take the individual mentoring sessions which are scheduled. I have to reschedule them, and it's not in my hand. Sometimes the mentees and the students and the professionals understand. Sometimes I have to make them understand that it's not in my hand. So there are a lot of difficulties and other things you face, but at the end of the day, my work ethic is I've committed to something. Even though it's getting delayed, there is no way that your session won't be taken. I
Yeah.
will take it, and whenever I take it, I give my not 100, I give my 200%. So there's no way people won't be satisfied. So those are a few things which I always keep in mind. And yeah, I just try and stay consistent. That is important.
Consistency is the main thing that people
Yeah.
should have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for talking to us, and also delivering so much value to the people who are watching it. And I will link Dhairya's LinkedIn profile, Instagram, and other social profiles at the link description below. So thank you, Dhairya,
You
for
may
talking to us.
add, yeah, thank you so much, Nihal. And if you want, I mean, for your viewers, you may add my website link as well so that they can refer to it and probably get to know about the services that I offer as well.
Yeah, sure. I will add that.
So much for having me. And I'm glad that I could answer your questions. I hope it helps students
Yeah.
and other people, who are seeking some guidance.